Hi, I'm Rupal. How are you all? In 2022, I read 35 books. I had actually planned to read 50 books, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't reach my goal. But it's fine because I think I've had like probably a pretty good reading year because I read some amazing books that I never thought I would actually read in my life, and some of them also ended up being my favorite books. So, yeah, here are my top 10 books of 2022. On number 10, I have a book that I did not finish, but I just know that this is one of the best books ever written, and that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This is about a girl named Vanessa who, as an adult, realizes that the relationship she had as a teenager was not made out of love but of abuse. And now, as an adult, she has to revisit her past, rethink her entire relationship, and try to deal with that trauma in the present. It is one of the most disturbing books I have ever read because it is too real, it is too raw, and I could not finish it because it was heartbreaking for me to understand or to realize that the things mentioned in this book was actually happening in real life as well. This is one of the most heartbreaking, disturbing books you will ever read, but this is also one of the best books you will ever read. So yeah, go ahead and read it, but check the trigger warnings first. At number 9, I have Kim Ji Young, born 1982. This is about a woman who faces problems just because she is a woman. It is about Kim Ji Young who starts to lose her mind when she starts impersonating her dead or even alive female relatives, women she knows she does not know, but she just does not act like herself, and her husband, worrying about her, sends her to this psychiatrist, and then we get to know why she is behaving in this odd, strange way. We get to understand the problems she faced as a child, as a student, as a family member, and also as a working woman. I'm sure that as a person, you will relate to at least one of those problems, and you will understand how important the book is, and I think you should read it. At number 8, I have a book that felt like a cup of warm coffee, and that was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is a collection of short stories, 4 short stories, which takes place at this underground small cafe, and there are a lot of rules, but it lets you go back into the past, but you have to come back before the coffee gets cold. And one of those rules is also that you cannot change the past. So it leaves the question that why would you go back into the past if you can't change it? But we get to see these 4 relationships, these 4 stories, which make sense in a sort of way. Even if you can't change the past, they still realize their mistake, they still realize what they had to do, what they should have done. I can't explain it, you just have to read it, because all these 4 short stories were a different type of emotion, and these emotions you can only understand when you read the book actually. At number 7, I have Oscar Wilde's Book of Tweets, which I found someone saying on Pinterest, and that is Only Dull People Are Brilliant at Breakfast. This is a small, tiny black book, which is a collection of excerpts or quotes taken from Oscar Wilde's collection of plays, poems, and novel, which can also be considered a book of highlights from his works, because I found that all those quotes were quotes that I would underline or highlight. All those quotes were quotes that I would absolutely love in a book. Yeah, it is quite small, maybe around 50 pages, so it wouldn't take you long to read, and you should definitely read because it will also help you get really cool Instagram captions if you are on Instagram. At number 6, I have another book that took me by surprise, and I also did not expect to love it as much as I did. It was so cute and so insightful, and I am so happy that I get to share this book with you. And that is If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genki Kawamura. I only bought this book because of this cute little cat with cute little golden eyes. It is about a person who gets a visit from the devil who informs him that he only has 24 hours to live, but he can extend his life by 24 hours if only he makes something disappear from the world. And as each things were getting disappeared, I just realized how important those superficial things in our life are. Movies, books, or phones, trains, clocks, everything, which I did not even consider for a single moment as something important. We need to appreciate them more than we actually do, and you should definitely read this book. If not for the story, then at least for this cute little cat. So now we have reached the top 5 books of the year, and these are books that highlighted the year for me. They just, like made my year even more delightful than it actually was. At number 5, I have a book that I did not think I would read because I had heard so many mixed reviews about this book, so many bad reviews about this book. It ended up being one of my favorites, and that is Sally Rooney's Normal People. Now, I know that a lot of people don't like this book just because of the writing style. It basically has no quotation marks, but it was not a problem for me. I actually quite liked it. I quite enjoyed it. It is a book about two people, Marianne and Connell, who form this sort of secret relationship in high school, which continues in their college life as well. We get to see the miscommunication that surrounds their relationship, that surrounds almost all sorts of relationship, whether it be a familial one, a friendship one, or a romantic one. That is basically the main theme of this book, and I loved it so much because there were a lot of instances where I could relate to Marianne or to Connell, especially the one scene where Connell finally gets into college and now he feels like an imposter. That is exactly how I felt when I started my college, and yeah, this book just made me feel validated, made my emotions feel validated. Also, I saw a lot of people saying that the song Mirror Ball by Taylor Swift was written for Cornel Waldron, and I couldn't agree more because it is actually written for Cornel Waldron, and I think you should read this book if you love that song, because you will get to see that song being this fictional person, and I'm sure you will love this fictional person as well because it will make you feel validated as hell. And yeah, you should read this. At number 4, I have a book that I don't know if I should love as much as I do, but I can't help loving it, and that is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This is a book about Esther, who starts this internship in New York, but we see her mental health degrading every single page. We see that this is not the life she had expected, this is not the life she is happy with, and we see her mental health journey. Considering that this book was written in the 60s or 50s or something, I think it is very bold of her, Sylvia Plath, to talk about a topic like mental health, and during that time when they were not talked frequently about, which makes this book a masterpiece. But as I said, I don't know if I should love this book as much as I do because Sylvia Plath discriminated against anyone who was not white. Like, she talked bad about black people, she talked bad about Latin people, about Indians, about Chinese, about basically anyone who was not white. And that is the only reason that I hate this book. I love this book, but I also hate this book, and I think you should definitely read this. At number 3, I have If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is basically the secret history but Shakespeare version. It also surrounds these 5 people of a group who commit a murder, and that is what the whole book is about. We just try to figure out how the murder happened, who committed the murder, and why they did so. Why they did so. And we also see the relationships between them, and it is fun, it is interesting, it is amazing. The writing is also beautiful, so yeah, you should definitely read that. At number 2, I have a book that I just knew I was going to adore. I just knew that this book was going to have a special place in my heart, and that book is The Stylistee by Erin Morgenstern. This is Erin Morgenstern's second book after The Night Circus, and The Night Circus is one of my favorite books ever, and it is no surprise that this book also made that list. Her writing is just so poetic. It is so mesmerizing and enchanting that it transports you to this another world from which you never want to come back. And I'm just so glad that she exists. I'm so glad that she writes, because it is only possible because of her that I got to experience this book. It is basically a book about books. This book is about Zachary, who finds a book at this library, and then he sets out on a journey to find where that book came from. And I cannot say anything about this book without actually spoiling the book, so you will have to read it for yourself. It is so nostalgic, and it will make you feel like a child all over again, who was, so interested by the simple story, by the simple fairy tales and storybooks. And yeah, you should definitely read this. This is like the best writing, the best book. Like, just read this. Finally, the number 1 book, the best book I read in 2022, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I read this book because of Dakota Warren. She talked about this book in almost all of her videos, and I wanted to know what the hype surrounding this book was, why people loved it so much, and I'm so glad I read this book. It is about Bunny, who gets murdered by his friends. It is basically how the book starts, and we get to see why his friends murdered him, how they murdered him, and their motive and everything. As a fun reader, I absolutely love this book, and it is just so beautiful. Donna Tartt's writing was absolutely breathtaking. I just know that I would never ever get to read anything like this ever again. It is one of those books that I would sell my soul to read for the first time. I guarantee you that you are going to love this book. So yeah, read this. So these were my top 10 books of 2022. Comment down below your favorite book, and I would surely try to read that. Yeah, I hope you liked this video. I hope you had fun watching it. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.